welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua, and my co-host, as always, is Todd Polly of 24 Stories Marketing. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Maggie. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And we have a special guest today, James R. Liggett. He is the founder and CEO of J.R.LIGGETT'S. Welcome, James.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi,
How are you?
James.
Hi, Todd.
It's great to have you here. So this is kind of an extension of something we already did in print in the July issue of WholeFoods Magazine, which is also online. We put a spotlight on leaders of the natural products industry who have really kind of elevated and innovated. And in that article, James shared some insights from the company, including the seeds on the start, how you got started, and how those seeds were planted when you were really young. So I love to hear those backstories. Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of some of the influences and events that inspired you and led to the formation of your company, which back in 1982. So you are a legacy brand for sure.
We've been around for quite some time. When I was 5 years old, I helped my great Aunt Anne make her yearly batch of soap, and I was privileged to help her do this. I was like 5 years old, so I would help her with, getting stuff together and getting her things that she needed and all that stuff. She basically heated her whole house with wood back at that point. It was um, she saved up all of the ashes, and she turned it into, leached the lye out of it, and it was lye and oil. It's basically how you make soap. And the oils came from the chickens that she raised each year, and then she'd put them in the freezer and then live off of those all year long as well. So it was a very basic and back to the earth environment, and a wonderful place to learn what was going on. So anyhow, it was this early learning that I was able to take with me and carry on, because I really enjoyed the process of making soap. And I found that I could just make incredible different types of soaps that just depending on the formulation, the oils that you use and all of that, you can make probably the finest soaps that you could ever have. These French soaps that are like $20, $30 a bar, you can make them for, whatever the ingredients cost. So anyhow, I learned something that I could take with me for my whole life. And I did that, and kept making soap and whatever. And then one day my wife Diane and I bought a farm in New Hampshire after we had lived in Manhattan for a number of years, and both of us working in the advertising industry. She represented film directors, and I was an art director working for Ogilvy and Mather, which was like the third largest agency in the world at the time. And in doing that, I learned a great deal about promotion, advertising, packaging, because I did television commercials, print ads, and even designed packages for different places like Pepperidge Farm and Hershey's. I did Hershey solitaires for them. I did the first packaging for Pepperidge Farm fruit cookies, and they're still going today, and a lot of different things. I won a couple of Clios in the meantime doing things like that. And I'm probably the only person that you could authentically say I sold the Brooklyn Bridge, because we did the Brooklyn Bridge Centennial advertising for that. And when we did it, we did a three-part commercial. We had a 60-second, a 30-second, and a 15-second that comprised a campaign. And we won Best Local Campaign, but the local was New York City. So it was quite a deal. We had Miss Piggy in it. We had Dick Cavett. We had all types of Andy Warhol was in it, all types of personalities, and everybody donated their time, and the agency donated our time. So we ended up winning a Clio, and that Clio led they travel all around the world showing different agencies what had won because Clio is kind of like the Academy Award in advertising. You know, it's the same level and stature and all that stuff. And you get all dressed up and go pick up the Clio and stuff like that. But anyhow, that was quite an honor. But after a while, Diane and I just got kind of tired of living in the city, going through the whole rat race of doing that. And um, we decided that we wanted to find someplace further out of the city and try to live a more rural life, if that's possible. Well, you can't really take the things that you have in the city with you. And one of them was advertising, because the level of advertising that I was used to doing was on a national, international level with just the best of everything and the, whatever budgets that you wanted to use. Well, and when you get down to a local level, it's like they don't understand how that works at all. And the frustration on my part would have been impossible to deal with. So we bought a farm in Cornish, New Hampshire. It was originally, it's 256 years old. It was established in 1769. That was actually before the Declaration of Independence. And we have been making shampoo there ever since. Diane had suggested that, well, we had a small store that we thought, oh, this would be really cool. We'll run it through. Well, we didn't realize that you're going to starve to death if you try to do something like that. It's glamorous in your mind, but when the rubber hits the road, it's a totally different animal. And the previous owner had ended up basically eating out of the store because they didn't develop a huge amount of money in doing that. So we had to figure out another way of doing this. And if advertising was off the plate, we had to figure something out. And Diane suggested, you've been making shampoo for a long, oh, this actually goes back a little bit further than that. We used to go to antique auctions and things like that. And we bought a couple of big libraries because people don't want to carry all these hundreds of books away. So they sell them really cheap. And in going through them, I enjoy cooking. I always have, because the formulation, the process in doing that. And in one of the cookbooks I found, it was a very old cookbook. It was just a recipe card that was loosely put into the book, and it said hair soap, and I figured, this is quite interesting, so I'll try it. And I made some up, and Jamie Miller is in the process. I'm turning the company over to her and kind of bridging things here. And she's going to be taking on the second generation of our company. Well, Jamie was the first person in the world to ever try our shampoo. I made this shampoo, and here, picture this. We're all standing around the bathroom while she's in there washing her hair and stuff like that. And she comes out and her hair was just fabulous. It looked incredible. And when she dried it, the comb would go through it immediately without any tangles and stuff. She didn't need a conditioner, and it just looked full, beautiful, and incredible. So that was a pretty big milestone. And then I kept making more and more and giving it away to all of our friends and neighbors and stuff like that. And they kept coming back for more and more. And finally, Diane said, why don't you think about maybe selling this stuff? People love it, and you're really good at making it, and you've been doing it a long, long time. So I figured, that's an interesting idea. So having had a lot of experience in advertising with product design and that all the things, I knew what professionally had to be on a package, to make it professional. So the first thing was to come up with a name. And, it may seem really simple to have J.R.LIGGETT'S old-fashioned bar shampoo, but the simplest things are always the most difficult because, we went through hundreds and hundreds of names, just anything you could think of as a name. And finally, it just boiled down to, why don't you just pick it J.R.LIGGETT'S? So, oh, okay, we'll do that. So we came up also, something that's really important in advertising is to have something that is campaignable, something that a concept that you can then amortize to go a lot of different ways, but still be true to the original basic premise. And by putting old fashioned in there, it gave us the leeway to go all types of different directions using the concept of old fashioned. The package design was old fashioned. We lived on a 256-year-old farm, which is inherently old fashioned just from the history that surrounds it. Our barn was built in 1769, 1820s, and the house was built in 1769, and we've got about 60 acres of land, and it's got 300-foot frontage on the Connecticut River, which is just marvelous. It's like the longest river in New England, goes all the way from Canada all the way to Connecticut. And anyhow, that's how we got started. And we're making shampoo in an old barn. It used to actually be a cow barn that was converted to the store. And then we converted the store, thank goodness, to making shampoo. And we started out with $5,000. And that was just enough to buy us packaging for 2 products. And that way we could decide whether or not this was actually going to be a going venture or just, well, maybe it was a good idea, but it's just not going to work probably well. David Ogilvy started Ogilvy and Mather, and his whole thing was all about research and knowing the products and knowing what is involved with it, and then finding out what people think about it, and then simply making your presentation based upon what other people wanted and how it performed to service those needs. And so I followed the same advice and sent out a questionnaire asking people, I'd send samples along with it so that they could try the shampoo and the whole thing. Actually, the first thing I sent out was a questionnaire, you know, wanting to know everything they thought or knew about shampoos. You know, what kind of shampoo you use, how many different ones do you have in your bathroom at any given time, what colors do you like, what smells do you like, what do you like best about it? You know, how does it perform for you? Is there any consistency difference and stuff? And one of the last ones was, what would you think of trying a solid bar shampoo in place of the liquid shampoo you're using? And inevitably, all of the answers that I got back, I turned into why to use our shampoo. Because our shampoo did all of those things, but it just found out what was most important to people to hear back and why we did it. So most of the people also answered the question about the bar shampoo. And most all of them said, oh, it'd be interesting. It wouldn't have any problem trying it and stuff like that. It just might be a pleasant endeavor, especially considering, you know, the aspects of it. It's all natural and there's no plastic bottles and all that stuff to it. So that sounded good. So then the next one we sent out with a bar of shampoo and a questionnaire as to how do you like the shampoo? You know, did it work well for you? How often did you have to shampoo? What was the worst thing you liked about the shampoo? And what was the best thing? And then there was a rating of 1 to 5 and different things like that that had attributes and the like that they could fill out. When I got this back, this is actually how I developed the packaging, because I took the answers that I got from that and then put those down as attributes. And our packaging is just pretty much wall-to-wall information. You know, it tries to answer people's questions and let them know exactly what it was. And at the time, no one else was making a solid bar shampoo, and the concept wasn't even there. There was no idea that such a thing could even exist. Now, previous to this, people had used a solid bar shampoo in the mid 1800s. In fact, there was a lady, I think she was the first person to ever make $1 million. And she was just astounding. But she made a shampoo out of a bar. And, it was way before liquid shampoos came about. Liquid shampoos actually originated with the Navy. And they during World War II, they washed their battleships with these detergents that they had invented. And they worked beautifully for removing grease and oil and all the stuff like that. And then later, people had the idea, well, what if we actually put this on people? You know, let people wash their hair, their bodies, and their animals and their floors, everything, we'll clean the whole world with detergents. Well, unfortunately, they did this. And the thing that they didn't realize, and people don't realize now, is that they strip all the natural oils from your hair. So most people have to use a conditioner right away. It also has some very bad health things. It's readily absorbed into all the tissues of your body. And this is sodium lauryl sulfate specifically, that it's absorbed into all the tissues of your body, and it doesn't just leave, it stays there, and it affects the really important parts of your body, like your eyes, heart, liver, kidneys, and stuff like that. And people that develop severe allergies to these detergents will find that one day they wake up and suddenly they're allergic to stuff. They're getting hives and they're break out and stuff like that, and they can't figure out where all this is coming from. Well, it's primarily because all of the detergents and different chemicals that you're putting into your body and on your body are finally coming home to rest. So to quote somebody else once. So anyhow, our shampoo didn't have or do any of those things. So we thought that was a great premise to go off of that. And that's how we established the ideas that drove our company, made it different, and the things that we adhered to, our values. And it basically was having something that was healthy for people to use. It was convenient and easy, made from all natural oils, or no detergents or anything like that in it. And it's also ecologically correct. That is completely non-polluting. You could wash your hair in a stream and the fish could eat the bubbles. Uh, Also for the environment itself. It just, if you lost a bar of shampoo in the woods or something, a raccoon could come along and eat it. It wasn't polluting, it wasn't terrible, and it's not going to kill fish and stuff like that. Detergents, on the other hand, if you wash your hair in a stream or lake or something, fish will eat this stuff and it kills them. They just die from it. So that's kind of the premise that we led from in selling our shampoo.
Yeah, that's amazing. Such a quintessential natural product story in the sense I love you leave the big city to go out and buy land, and then you end up doing something that's so close to the land and so natural. That's amazing. I'm wondering, so you went through a lot of, you talked a lot about the history, but also some about how you formulate the product and kind of this mission that I'm hearing in terms of formulating cleanly. And I wonder if you can talk about that a little bit in terms of was that your idea from the get-go to come out with this, you were you started making shampoo bars in a certain way. It sounds like you've continued to do it that way all along, and you've been around for a while. What's that? Was that intentional the whole time to be natural with it and just keep on that path all the way through as far as formulating the product and running the company with this mission in mind?
Well, fortunately, being natural is integral to the shampoo that I make. It's all made from edible vegetable oils, and uh, it's healthy, it's ecologically correct, and all of that. So that kind of pretty much started our consciousness towards promoting that on a conscious level. Uh, and in doing that, nobody else was doing that. I mean, we were decades ahead of people realizing that what they have been doing to the earth for the past thousands of years, or hundreds at least, is just detrimental to the human race and everybody on the planet. And so taking this up and promoting the shampoo from that point of view uh, gives us the credentials that we need to um, establish the shampoo and show that it really is a much healthier way to go than depending on all these liquid shampoos, liquid soaps, and things like that. You know, sodium lauryl sulfate is in every liquid shampoo, liquid soap, bubble bath, and toothpaste. People are subjected to this stuff multiple different ways, and that's part of what causes all these allergies and stuff in people, and who knows what the end result is on it. But
I mean, I feel like there's starting to be some more awareness of that. I mean, in a way, like we're conditioned like from childhood that if it's not lathering up, it's not working, and that's all that those chemicals, right? Like you don't need all of that. But people are starting to be more aware of that, and people are starting to kind of enter your space or pretend they're entering your space. And in our print article, you said, like, in a world full of greenwashing, we've stayed authentic, and that's what made us different. And certainly you were way ahead, in terms of that focus on clean ingredients, on sustainability, on not having all those unnecessary plastics. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen the consumers evolve over the decades, and about the authenticity that you bring that helps you stand out from what is starting to become a little bit more crowded of people at least trying to seem like they're clean and green?
we've been around since 1982. That's when we started the company. We've been in business for 46 years. It wasn't until probably the last 10 to 15 years that this ecology and health and stuff like that has come upon people's awareness. I mean, people didn't read labels. They didn't do anything. They just figured, okay, I'll use this because they wouldn't ever put anything in it that would harm me. I know that, because who would do that? Okay. Um, so it was only we sell our products in a lot of different areas, and outdoor market is one of them. We started out in the natural food industry. Actually, it was called the health food stores before, and then it turned into natural food stores. Um, but this is how far back that goes. Um, Generally in health food stores, you had stuff that was supposed to be much better for you. It was twice as much as it would cost anyplace else. And some of it worked and some of it didn't. Well, our product was one that really did. It worked and performed beautifully, and we got a good foothold in the health industry. And they were probably one of the first ones to be able to touch on the idea of living healthier, and the environment came in even later than that. I mean, much later than that. Probably 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago for the health industry, but all the other places, like the outdoor industry, pharmacies, and historical places. I mean, they got it because it was kind of unique, but they didn't really catch on to reading ingredients or to understanding what the products are doing to them, their children, their husband, their wives, and the planet they live on. So uh, it has evolved considerably since then. I mean, it was so blatant with the outdoor industry. It was like they didn't care about anything other than selling all their backpacks and this, that, and the other thing. But then all of a sudden, over a couple of years, everything got green, and they'd put this in or that in, and, vitamin E, and a little bit of some other oil or something that they would put into it, and then they could call it all natural, and natural just got blown right out of the water as far as any type of credentials, because it was so overused. Everybody could say, oh, it's natural. Okay. But in reality, natural had to be defined more than just adding vitamin E to your product, and same old product, just a new face. And so that kind of answers how that came about. As far as formulations and the like, with the background that I had in making soaps for years and years and experimenting with different types and all different everything, I was quite well versed in doing that. But I also thoroughly enjoy cooking, and they both are processes. It has to do with, a formulation is exactly the same thing as a recipe. And it's just adding a little more of this or a little more of that, and then testing it to see if it tastes good or looks good or works well. Uh, and that's how I have and do product development. First of all, you have to have a need for a product. We just came out with a conditioner that people had been after us to do for the longest time. Well, most people don't need a conditioner with our shampoo, but they find that using the conditioner that we came out with, it actually makes their hair nicer. And it just, um, our shampoo gives you lots of body, very manageable, and it glows. It looks really nice. But the conditioner lets you get a comb through it. It just glides. It's just an overall wonderful product, and it's been selling incredibly. And another product that we just came out with is a body oil in a bar, which may really sound strange and a little bit, how can you have an oil in a bar? Well, a lot of people have tried different things, and most of them have ended up with something that ends up very greasy or oily or rubs off on your clothing or just goes away after about 25 minutes or 2 hours. Well, what we formulated and came up with is all plant-based, and it is really simple to apply when you're in the shower or something like that. You have to have your body wet, or your hands, face, whatever, and it dissolves as it goes on your body. And then it's very concentrated, so you rub it all over, do a really quick rinse, pat dry, and it just dries. But your skin is like silk. It just makes it so soft, and it lasts for a long, long time, 24 hours even. So that is just a really incredibly new product. And we put something else with it. We have sustainability is incredibly important for our company. So we don't do things that are not sustainable as far as ingredients, as far as most everything that goes into our products. So we came up with this little bamboo wafer that attaches to the bar when you first use it. And that allows you to have something to hold on to. It doesn't, if you drop it, it's easy to pick up, but it's easy to hold on to, and it just works really well. And when it gets way down, you just put a new one on top of it, and there's zero waste.
I like to hear how you're evolving and how you've continued to keep that process, but then you come out with new products and you're but still staying true to that mission. And I'm wondering, as a longtime leader in the industry, I'd like to focus a little bit now on how you've led, and then also how you plan to pass on to the next generation, as you've mentioned is occurring. That process is ongoing now. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the advice you've given as a leader in the natural products industry, and if you've had this company that has a very defined mission and product that there's it's the only word I can really think of, it's true to itself as you've evolved. How do you, as a mentor and as someone in the natural products industry that has seen the industry evolve so much over the years, how do you pass on some of those lessons? Or are there some specific lessons you've passed on as the next generation steps up to take leadership of the company eventually?
Well, passing things on, it's like basically teaching people what you've already found out or know to make their approach better or their results better. As far as passing the company on. We're getting to a point where my wife and I, there are other things we might enjoy doing other than being involved, 24/7 with the shampoo and his promotion, his making and new product, and this, that, and the other thing.
Mhm.
Jamie Miller, who is Diane's daughter, my stepdaughter, is going to be running the day-to-day uh, functions of the company. She knows it very well. She's been using the shampoo forever, and she was the first person to ever use it. And we are able to then just go off and do other things and enjoy the rest of our lives and doing that. So I think passing it on, mentoring people, showing them how to do things, teaching them how to be genuine about something, finding something that works really well, and why it's important to have a consciousness toward the environment, something that is sustainable, that will promote the environment, not pollute the environment, and giving people economy at the same time. Our bars equal approximately a 24-ounce bottle of liquid shampoo if it's allowed to dry between uses. So it lasts a long, long time. It's basically a 3.5-ounce bar of shampoo, which is deceiving because it's very concentrated and lasts a long time. So um, that's kind of what it is.
I love that. And I wanted to ask you because we love to ask the leaders and the innovators of our industry, um, just for you've seen a lot over the years. What can we do better to ensure our collective success? Maybe a call to action for the industry. I mean, you're definitely leading to foster positive change for the environment and for people and their wellness. So any collective call to action for us overall?
I think one of the most important things is to be genuine, be true to yourself, and don't try to catch the latest wave because it just happens to be fashionable at the time. Maybe take a chance, try something. I mean, people weren't selling bar shampoos when we started, but we found out that people actually, there was a market for them because I consider them to be far superior to anything else that's out there, regardless of the marketing or other things that people do to promote their products. Um, I think that in being true to yourself, you're going to take your customers. Incidentally, I hate the word consumer. It sounds like a bunch of cows out there that you go and feed hay to, and then slaughter them at the end. Uh, Customers, I think, deserve a manufacturer's best result in giving them something that is healthy for them, is going to do what they need to do and do it well. But in the same time, do it in a earth conscious manner that can support everything else. I mean, the bottom line is they just have to be true to themselves. And unless they're out for just as much money as they can make the shortest period of time with the fewest products, that's kind of the opposite of that. So people have to invest in customers. They have to invest in the products that they make, and they have to invest themselves in the people they hire to work for them, and the way to do that is you can't live in an ivory tower. When I hire people, I tell them that you're not necessarily working for me, you're working with me. We are working together to make this company great. And they're more apt to be far more involved with the company when they know that, there's nothing I would ask them to do that I couldn't or wouldn't do myself.
Mhm.
And I have taught most of them what they needed to do. In the beginning, I designed and invented almost all of the product, all of the things that we needed to manufacture the shampoo, from cutters to molds to uh, the entire production
Yeah,
aspect.
that's amazing. That just to be that hands-on through the whole process. As we've talked a lot about the company history and how it came about, I want to shift as we wrap up here. let's talk a little bit about the future. And I'm looking towards, as 2026 will approach before we know it, which is unbelievable. But um, I just want to open the floor to you, James, and see if you want to talk about offer any bright spots that you see, whether it's with your company, with the natural products industry in general, or anything that's coming up on the horizon for J.R. Liggett that might be something worth mentioning that you'd like to highlight as you look toward the next year and beyond for the industry or the company.
Well, I think the future is wide open to just imagination, creativity, seeing what the customer needs and fulfilling that need to the best of their abilities. And it's like the body oil in a bar, people didn't like, well, they would use oils, but then, it would drip and run and, you dry it off and you're still greasy and oily, there was a no-win situation there. So to be able to fix that problem, but still come out with something starkly different, that was a bit of a leap of faith that people were going to want to try body oil in a bar when they had been used to just a liquid version all this time, and to trust us enough to want to try it. I mean, we have a huge following now after 46 years. Um, People, I think, know and take us for what we are. I mean, they trust us and believe that we are going to give them something great. And we have gotten a lot of sales, and people, they're what, they write us notes and letters and stuff like that all the time too, which is just incredible. And that's a total validation that we're doing something right. So I enjoy that. As far as uh, where this is taking us, I have no idea. But I do know that it's going to be far more customer driven. Yes, they read labels, but now they actually look up what those ingredients are on the internet. The internet has changed the entire world, sometimes for the better and a lot of times for the worse. But one of the better things is you have information at your access all the time, 24/7. If there's anything you don't understand, Google it and you'll find out 6 different reasons of whatever. And so I think that's a huge thing. Uh, and that also puts a lot of pressure on people that have been going along with the greenwash, as you mentioned before. They're going to be able to then see, oh, these people are just phony as can be. They put this in, but look at what they're doing for a base, and the whole thing. And whether they get people to give them thumbs up on Instagram or Facebook or wherever they happen to be, you know, uh, you can obtain those a lot of different ways. And people who do like it, and that you're serving a need that they like, I think you'll prosper.
And I was going to say, you can really see that. I was on your TikTok and the passionate testimonials for
Yeah.
your products, just show that you are serving your customers and really, meeting their needs in a wonderful way. So we appreciate you joining us to share all the thinking and care that goes into that, and then seeing that end result with these people who are so happy and so wanting to share the message of how great your products are. So that is a beautiful thing that we can all aspire to. And thank you for joining us. We love
One,
talking to you. So many
yeah, it was
great
a pleasure to
insights.
hear your story.
One thing though that I want to thank, I think, is Whole Foods, because the promotional thing that we did, it was like a spread, but it told about us and the whole thing, and that's kind of where this was based from as well. They have been instrumental in getting our products out to a lot of different people that would have probably never, ever come in contact with it. Um, we have distributors in the natural food industry. We've got distributors in the outdoor industry, not pharmaceutical, pharmacies, different places. The CO Bigelow in New York City has been carrying our shampoo for years and years, 20, 30 years, forever. The Hanover Co-op here in New Hampshire, that was the first place we ever sold our shampoo. And there's a hugely funny story about that, but I don't know if you've got the time for that or not, but we were just introducing the shampoo, and we took a bunch of samples up there to give them out on a Saturday morning. And we gave them out and told the people what it was and the whole thing. And the next morning, Diane answers the phone, and it's fairly early, like 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. And she says, Jim, there's somebody on the phone that wants to talk to you. They got some of the shampoo yesterday. I said, oh, why? What's wrong with this picture? What's going to happen here? So I get on the phone and I'm just kind of trying to feel out where this person's coming from. And she said, you know, I was there yesterday. I met you and your wife and really enjoyed that. And gave us samples of the shampoo, and we took it home, and I was washing my boyfriend's hair, and that's kind of strange to begin with, okay? And when I finished, it looked incredible. So then I washed my own hair, and it was fabulous. Really love this stuff. We're moving to Montana, and we'd like to buy a case of it to take with us in case we can't find it locally. I said, wow, that's pretty neat. So anyhow, that was a funny story. But
Yeah.
Hanover Co-ops have been selling the shampoo probably almost the very first company that we went to. We started out with two products. It was just the original shampoo, and what was called a shampoo shelf was a wooden holder that it came with. So you had two products. So that was it.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, we love hearing the stories. We love funny stories. Like I said, we love the inspiration, and thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward, for what's to come with the next generation. We know Jamie will keep us up to date, and we'll keep sharing in WholeFoods Magazine.
Appreciate that. That'd be great. Thank you so much, both of you. We had a wonderful
thanks.
time, and thank you.